Newcastle United victors, 3-0 victors over PSV. I'm going to be talking about it, but straight out of the frying pan and into the fire, we go into game against the Villains this Sunday. Who will come out on top? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy will take on the shot. Fabian Cher
All right, folks. Apologies for the delay. You can see already my camera is absolutely gone, but we're not gonna let us hold us back. Newcastle won 3-0 versus PSV. We're gonna be talking about, we're gonna give our reactions over that, and we're gonna do a preview for the Aston Villa game this Sunday. And I'm at St. James's Park. It's a vital clash game, especially for Newcastle, obviously for Villa as well, if they want to maintain their chase for the top spot. But it's a vital clash for Newcastle to keep ourselves well within the conversation for the Champions League spot. So, guys, we've got lots at stake here for sure. So, looking forward to talking about it with you guys. But as always, it's always a privilege and a blessing. Even with my broken camera and my frozen screen. I don't know if you guys can hear me already. My own screen is frozen, which is annoying. It keeps on freezing up on me, but hopefully you can hear that we're still here. You guys can be in anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I am blessed. God bless you guys. Let me know. Always encouraging and great to see the chats and the views going up as well when we're talking. So incredible blessing to see you guys. Let me know where you guys are listening from. Let me know what you're doing. Are you coming back from work? Are you going to work? What are you up to? Let me know. I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. Like I said, we're going to be doing reaction for the PSV game. Let me know your thoughts. Who was your man of the match? What was your thoughts on the game? What did you think about the armband going onto the arms of Mr. Miley as well? That lovely touch towards the end of the game from Trippier. Let me know your thoughts on that. And that game also, it doesn't obviously confirm our automatic promotion by a long shot. We still have to play PSG, but it does actually confirm our spot in the at least to qualify, to have to be in the qualification places for that. So I am really looking. So we're already kind of we're maintaining our spot. We're maintaining our chase to get to that second phase of the Champions League, and you never know what's going on from there. Already see folks in the chat. Good to Queen of Heart. Always a blessing to see you. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. Chat. Good evening. Good evening to you, Queen of Heart. Always a blessing to see you. Davey. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. Hope you're well. Living life to the full. I'm like, you remember Crocodile Dundee wrestling with the crocodiles? I'm like wrestling with the camera and with my headphones and breaking everything, but it doesn't matter. We're here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. So always a blessing to see you. Oh, good. My screen is not freezing. See, I'm winning just with that. Liam, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Philip, keeping it frosty with the screen. Honestly, if you wouldn't believe me, but everything was running smoothly right until I had to actually get onto the studio. I was getting on time. I had all my research, everything done. I was ready to go, and then boy, it all went off. War Captain, God bless you. Can hear you up in Geordieland, so reception is good. Always, for some reason, I almost thought it said Greenland, and I'm like, oh, how's things up there, Geordieland? But good to see you. Good to see you, sir. War Captain. Who else was here? I swear I saw somebody. My camera could use a little wipe. I'm going to get a new one soon as well, Adrian. But good to see you, sir. God bless you. I need to get like a specialist wipe, I think, as well. I missed one from Liam. Liam says, first game for weeks in the ground. We could all relax for the second half. Felt good. Need it more. It felt from watching it from on TV like being in control. I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but like in possession, out possession. I loved our setup. I liked how we dealt with PSV. It was important. Davey's so pleased for Miley. So am I. Honestly, so am I. That's why I had to create this. That's why I had to put this thumbnail like his future king, present Villa victory for sure. Then he's for sure the future of Newcastle United. So let's get into it. Let's get into it, guys. And Liam obviously was at the game. I'm sure a few other folks on here were at the game as well. Let me know how it felt for you. Now, before I get into the slightly different, but on topic and on off topic still, it's sad to hear that with the news of not of Opta analysts, but mainly with FB Ref. You guys know that I use FB Ref a lot. A lot of content creators, everything, people like even just football analysts, love to use FB Ref. And the news that now, like, they had some funny situation with Opta analysts where they can't use their data anymore. So I hope that gets resolved, but it's a shame that whatever the situation is, it can't be resolved at this time. However, we still have good other data as well, and we're going to be using Opta Analyst today. Now, as I said earlier, for me, my screen is freezing, but if for you guys, I'm still moving, I will continue. I will continue as normal. So hopefully that doesn't matter. So let's walk through it. The most important victory, the most important scoreline, 3-0 to Newcastle. Now, we did say, and obviously we've got the lineups here. We did talk about what the possible lineups were going to be, and I thought that Miley would come in for Trippier, but Trippier stayed, which is good. Miley was on the bench, obviously came on a little bit later for Bruno, who was injured. But there was a change up top with Wissa coming for Voltemada, and that's why I think Voltemada started against Wolves, because I think Wissa was always intended to start for this Champions League game. And Eddie Howe played his cards right. Obviously, Wissa not only got a goal, but he got an assist in the game. So I think that worked out absolutely lovely for him. By the way, it's a blessing to see up to 14 viewers. And please do remember to like, if you like the show, please do like, share, and subscribe. It'll be great to have you guys, and leave your comments in the chat. But so Eddie Howe made two changes from that Wolves game, with putting on Wissa for Voltemada, and who was the other change? Wissa for Voltemada. There was two. I thought the second one, but he did keep Trippier on, which was good to see. We talked. So I'm going to go through the stats, but just to kind of a reminder, what we discussed about the PSV game was when we did the preview. PSV really good on the ball, high pressing team, have a really like they've got not only on the ball but really good off the ball, and they got that 5-second rule where they want to win the ball back within 5 seconds. What City used to do. So they're aggressive. They don't mind. They go man to man. They attack in numbers. They do that high line. They play it risky, but they overload through the central areas, and also have wingers out wide. And we did discuss in this in that preview show that there is a risk for them that if we start hitting those balls vertically and hitting them on the runs, it could be a risk for them. Now, we didn't score via those kind of transitions. We scored via our press, which was absolutely phenomenal to see, because they like to build up from the back over their two centre backs. Sometimes their midfielder drops in and to create a 3. But we caused 2 errors from the 2 goals, obviously from the Wissa goal first of all from the Gordon goal, after Bruno closed down the pass from their centre back, got the ball out to Joe Linton. Joe Linton was it the first or second goal, guys? Let me know. And then Joe Linton squared it to Wissa. I think Wissa was the first goal, wasn't he? So that came from that press, that forced error. The second goal came from Wissa then closing down the centre back and then getting this squaring it to Gordon. And we've talked about it before, especially from that Palace game. Wissa and Gordon have that growing partnership, that relationship going. I thought was really, really, really good to see, and we got the assist from that. Funny enough, I was talking to a PSV fan online and in the DMs, and I don't know why. I don't know. He thought that both teams were poor, and on another day, I heard that their coach said that the game would have finished 0-0 had it not been for them making the mistakes. And I made the point to the PSV fan, it's like, we made you make those mistakes. Like we shut you down. We won the ball high up. We played you at your own game. We forced those errors, and we capitalized for them. And he just didn't. He didn't seem to register. But that's what happened. And obviously the Harvey Barnes goal in the second half was that kind of cherry on top. And long ball from Pope. The ball was heading to Joe Linton. We again spoke about in the preview show, how would PSV react to aerial duels, and their aerial duels ball winning is poor. And I know that Joe Linton didn't win the header, and it ended up going off the head of one of the PSV players, but he was like off balance. They were struggling to really wrestle with Joe Linton. It got to Barnes, who did a fantastic turn and then shot. Like Barnes that's what you call powerful running. And obviously the eerie finish, phenomenal from him. That's 12 goals, is it, in all competition for him this season. So he's having a fantastic season so far. I think we deserved it but also what I liked, and I want to get you guys, I'm going to read the chat in a moment. What I also liked was how we were kind of rotating in our press. So yes, Gordon and Whistle were leading the press, but then sometimes it'll be Joe Linton and Whistle, or Tonali and Gordon, and here and there, just to kind of keep the players fresh. Not kind of run them into the ground too hard, especially when you're leading the line. And I thought we did that really, really, really well. I thought Joe Linton played a really, really good game. There's a number of players, really. I'm keen to hear what you guys, I'm going to go to the chat in a moment. I'm keen to hear what you guys thought. I thought Joe Linton, his defensive duties, covering for Hall, doing really well, but also up front, being a menace, closing down people. He had even a cheeky through ball or a key pass that happened as well that I thought was really, really good to see. I'm sure a lot of people agree that we kind of saw the old Joe Linton back in that game. I thought Tonali had a fine game in the number 6 role. Good to see a picture from his wife with his baby boy Leonardo Tonali in the stadium as well. I like to see that. I like to see like players proud to bring their families to St. James's Park and everything. I love to see that stuff. So yeah, I thought he had a good game in the number 6 role, screening our back line as well, making sure that we weren't caught in the transitions, and we weren't caught in the transitions. You're going to see in a moment from the stats, for instance, that how I don't think in terms of like touches inside our box from PSV, I don't think they hit double digits. So we're going to see the shots on target. Maybe it had 1, maybe 2. I can't recall. We're going to see the stats. But I thought we defended superbly well. Chow, Botman, colossal, absolutely colossal. Nobody was going to get past them. Trippier held his own. Hall, phenomenal again. Close. We talked about in the show. Yes, PSV are going to press us and they're going to try and disrupt our build-up play. But how are they going to? Who are they going to try and force the error from? Botman, Chow, who are good on the ball. Hall. How are they really going to close down Hall when he's so good in kind of close in close quarters? Like, how's that going to work out for them? And it didn't, essentially. Even with and I want to also give a special mention to Langa. He came on. I loved how the crowd encouraged him, cheered him on. Not every touch was perfect, but you can see when the player says to himself, "Okay, things have not been going well for me, right? no GA, bad touches, bad passes. I've not been confident. I've not been taking on people. I'm just going to run. I'm just going to run. I'm just going to run. And that's exactly what he did. He pressed, he stretched the pitch. He just made himself known. So fair play to him. And I thought he was awesome. So before we just read a little bit of the stats and tons of comments in the chat, as always, God bless you, folks. Good to see a lot of old folks, folks from that come to the show before, previously coming on here as well. It's really, really good to see you guys. War Captain Bruno says, what trips did for Miley? Pure, unadulterated class. Absolutely. I love that. I really, really love that. And we know, we've talked about it before, obviously, Fabrizio Romano reporting that Miley, in the past was wanted to leave or at least wanted a loan. I believe that came from Miley's camp as well. He had 3 big midfielders, but look how he's cut. Look how things change. With Eddie Howe showing patience, not playing him straight away. He's already played, I think, 1,600 minutes this season already, 3 times more than what he played last season. Big, strong, cool on the ball, right back, midfield, goalkeeper, wherever you put him. And that, like you said, that touch was just absolute class. It's a sign for the future. Bruno even commented in online and said, present and the future, which is exactly, and that's what kind of inspired me to do the thumbnail title, present and the future, for sure. And I think it capped off a absolute wonderful night. Our Villa fan, always an absolute privilege and pleasure to see you on the show. God bless you. Villa fan says you will beat us easily. Do you think so? Well, when I do the preview show, I'm gonna be kind of waxing lyrical about your team, Villa fan. So I'll be really keen to hear. I don't know if you're able to stay, how long you're able to stay, but I would. If you got time, do send me in the comments what you think, why you think it is that you're gonna lose. I'd love to know, but I'm gonna be waxing lyrical a bit about Villa in this game. Liam says, never that easy of Aston Villa, but your midfield is looking light. Okay, so they got a few personnel missing. Emery crazy on Tielemans tonight. What have you heard? I think that for me, when I saw that, I thought that was just high stakes game, lots of chat, lots of talk. I thought it's part and parcel of it's just a bit of whatever. I didn't take it as anything really. Aaron says, good evening all. God bless you, Aaron. Good to see you as always. Happy with the result. The high press was finally back. And do you remember, Aaron? I will say this, I want Howe and will Howe essentially try and test PSV's build up from the beginning, just to see how PSV respond to our press. What will they do? And they didn't react to it very well, and we just kept on doing it. And I agree with you. The high press was finally back and effective. Felt PSV played into our hands in a way, but the main thing is the win. And we did say that could happen. That they could play into our hands, but we had to play well for that to happen, and I think we did that. A Villa fan says, I would be confident if we had new signings in by Sunday, but we won't. Or if you got Loftus-Cheek in. So is Martinez fit? Because I couldn't figure out if Emi Martinez is going to be fit. I know that Kamara's out for the year, and there was somebody else. McGinn. I think McGinn's out. That's it. Aaron says, one thing I was disappointed in was not taking Bruno off straight away. After that ankle jolt, shouldn't have played him after he initially started limping. Hopefully it's not too bad. I think there's 2 things. I think the player wanted to play and we weren't too far off second half. And I think Eddie Howe wanted to get him in, probably treat him and see if he can play it off. It's a difficult one. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Spoiler alert, he's not in my starting lineup for the Villa game. So I think they'll be cautious with him. I think they might, with the PSG game coming up and the Man City game coming up, I think they might play him there. Davis says should be a good game at the weekend. I absolutely agree. A war captain Bruno says if Bruno's out for us, I'm worried it's a bit, but Miley kind of counts out my concerns. Just hope Bruno's okay. That's exactly my sentiment. Honestly, that's exactly my sentiment. Queen of Hearts says was recently in Newcastle and can honestly say the best city to travel to. The people couldn't ask for better. If lost, they're more than happy to help. Yes, that happened with my wife as well. Like when we went to see this was when a championship. We were playing Rotherham, and my wife got lost in the stadium. And I don't know how people remembered where I was, or I didn't know people like how they even know who I was. They didn't know, no one knew who I was, and they just pointed her to me. Like she said, yeah. She said to me, I couldn't find the seat, and they all pointed to like they all helped me to get you to you. I'm like, I was lost for words. Incredible people. Aaron says it was like Newcastle of old 4-4-2 press. Yes, it was out of possession, forcing turnovers, which led to the golden goal. Exactly. If we had Douglas Luiz and Mateta in the team by Sunday, I'd be confident we'd beat you, but we're thin. Yeah, I'd be confident as well if I had Mateta. I don't know about Douglas or Luiz. I'll read a couple more and we'll get a little just finish the review. If we had I just read that one. Liam says, I've been saying it for weeks. Botman has to trust his own body. Looked much smoother, less robotic. I agree. He looks like he's enjoying himself as well. I feel like he's enjoying himself. War Captain Bruno says, so chuffed to see the support for Elanga. I'm convinced it lifted him so much prices. I absolutely agree with that. That was so important for him. And this next game coming up against Villa is going to be big. Liam says Elanga could be the key to PSG. Stay tight, break fast, last 20 minutes. Exactly. I think there's a lot more to come from Elanga. I think we're gonna the story is for sure not. It's barely starting. I think he could make a comeback for the second half of the season. Aaron says Miley was always good enough, just needed consistent minutes to realize what we already knew. He's going to take the mantle from Bruno in the years to come. He deserves every good thing coming his way. I couldn't agree with you more there, Aaron. Oh, sorry, I'm getting my sinuses or hay fever coming along. Villa fan says, privileged to see you too. Bless up. Good to see you. Absolutely. Good you'll be here. Yeah. Kamara out for the season, McGinn out for 2 months. That's huge. That is. Let me know about Emi Martinez. I couldn't quite confirm because it just says inactive when I'm looking at him. And War Captain Bruno says, honestly, when Wilson and Elanga crack the code, we'll be back to our best, almost there. I couldn't agree with you more. So, having said all that, let's just have a brief look at the stats. We dominate possession. I didn't anticipate that, but we dominate possession. We lost more possession in our defensive half than they did, which is interesting to see. Our dual success rate was, I think they just had a bit more of it. Aerial duels, we won 51%. So quite close on those metrics, to be honest. They had the more dribbles. We had the more corners awarded. Excuse me, folks. Sorry, my sinuses are kicking in for some weird reason. All right, passing accuracy, they just nicked it with 80% to our 78.5. Passing accuracy in opponent's half, we had 66%. Now, I'm beginning to wonder if that's because we took a little bit more risks with the ball. Some of it will also be how good PSV are closing down, but I think we took a little bit more risks with the ball. And you can see that with the forward passes, we had 317 to their 272 passes. So yes, they had more of the possession, but we were far more forward thinking than they were. 61% of our passes, or not too far from them actually, were forward passes. We had one through ball to their 0. We're close, we were both close in the final third entries. Penalty area entries, 30 to their 26. Total open play crosses, we had both 15. So both crossing machines, 20 to 18 crossing for us. Crossing accuracy, 35% to us, 11% to them. Now, we talked about the crossing situation before. I said that is our box movement going to improve? I felt it did. I thought you guys remember the Worcester incident, the penalty incident. I thought it was a penalty, but there was good movement there as well, and I think we were very dangerous. So again, most important metric, we had 3 goals, they had 0. We had 11 shots to their 6. We had 4 shots on target to their 1. So they had 1 shot on target. We were really, really good. They had 5 shots outside the box. We had 1. We had 10 shots inside their box to their 1. Again, kept them out of our box. And this is a good one to see. Shot accuracy, excluding block shots, 44%. So improving our shooting accuracy, or at least coming back again to their 20%. Shooting accuracy in general, 36% to their 16%. We had 10 key passes to their 6 passes. So, what we did with the ball was far more better. I'm going to actually have a quick look on the chalkboard map to kind of emphasize this. Just looking at the defensive part, we had 45% tackling success rate to their 40. We had to make 6 interceptions to their 11, 56 recoveries to their 59. I think it's because we were far more, we're kind of more decisive in our attacks. They had to attack a lot more. Attacking third recovery, 7 to 7. Defensive third recovery, 27 to us, 23 to them. There was something, yeah. So let me just look. This is what I wanted to point out, because this became quite distribution map. I don't know if you guys remember, Opta Analyst did this for the Wolves game, where they had, where they just said, side to side passing. And all they did was essentially, where is it? Where's the passing one? Possession. Was it possession in here? No, it's not possession. It's distribution. They go down to distribution. So all they did was this. Newcastle just do side to side passing, and they just had. Let me take off Eindhoven. And they included crossing. They included everything. So it just made it look like we weren't doing anything, right? Which is not the case. Yes, this is the passing, but you've also got to take away. This is the successful passes that we had throughout the game. This is the unsuccessful passes we had throughout the game. So far less, obviously, in various areas of the pitch, especially in the middle part. There's obviously vying for control there. But what I wanted to see, what kind of note importantly, key passes. When we're talking about key passes, these are passes that lead to a shot, to a goal. Again, you can see here. In fact, let me make sure you guys can see it. You can see it. They're coming from Jacob Ramsey, who came on 77th minute. Lewis Hall on the right side, from Trippier, from Barnes, from Trippier again, from Elanga this time, from Joe Linton. So these are all key passes that lead to a shot. So far more of those being effective for those, which has been important for us. Also, successful open play crosses. There's been unsuccessful ones as well, obviously, or mainly coming from that right side. It's about 4 of them being successful, right? Let me just mix that with the unsuccessful open play crosses, right? So far more, but still better than what we did against Wolves, and probably better because PSV probably weren't in the low block. But nonetheless, I did think that we improved what we were doing in the box as well. In terms of movement, there was another thing I wanted to show. There was the passes, the key pass. Maybe I did all of it actually. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on like how you feel about what we did in the box, how well we moved, and what we were up to. Now, before I get to the chat, so this is obviously the passing map. For those of you that are don't know how it works is, so you got the average possession. This is Eindhoven, by the way. You got the average this where you see the player numbers here. These are the average position of those players throughout the game. And what you see the lines here are the passing maps, which allow you, which is an indicator of some of the passing patterns of the team. The thicker the lines, the more frequency of passes between those players. So let me start with Newcastle. So for instance, you can see us. This is from Pope from left going right. You know that we're more of a team that attacks or moves with the flanks. So you can see here from Chow to Trippier, there's 29 passes throughout the game between the both of them. Most of them are from Chow to Trippier. So going forward, 20 passes from Chow, 9 back from Trippier. And then you got their connection with, for instance, with Bruno Gomes, who came off a little bit later. There was 9 passes between Bruno Gomes and Trippier, but also Tonali, who was screening that side. So Tonali, there was 22 passes between Chow and Tonali. So you can see the passing attacks there on those flank areas. Similar on the other side, you have Hall with Botman, 20 passes between them two. And between Hall and Gordon, 11 passes between the two, and Joe Linton joining in with them as well. So 10 passes between Joe Linton and Gordon. And there was another one, Joe Linton and Hall, 16 passes between them. So you can see there's a strong passing pattern between the both of them there. Tonali and Botman, 27 passes between them. Tonali and Chow, 22 passes between them. So it was Tonali that was picking up. He was between the two centre backs, allowing them to split, but also screening them with his pace and athleticism. So we didn't get caught in the transition that much. I anticipate a similar sort of setup against Villa, but you can see where our passing lanes were. They get slightly thinner towards the top, obviously, because it's a bit more difficult to get to the strikers, but we did still supply. So, for instance, Wissa had, there was not a lot, 4 passes between him and Gordon. He keeps himself out of the play a little bit. 4 passes between him and Trippier. Then you've got Barnes who joined them, 10 passes between him and Hall. Hall again being the supplier. 8 passes between Barnes and Trippier, supplying them there. Where is Gordon? Gordon had 10 passes between him and Joe Linton, 9 passes between him and Tonali, 11 passes between him and Hall. So, Gordon was very much being fed by on that flank as well. So it was decent all round in terms of our approach play. I think the main thing what we done was our closing down, was winning the ball high and disrupting their play and causing them to make mistakes and taking advantage of the mistakes and being cool in our passing. Like in that first goal that Wissa scored, for instance, when Bruno won the ball, cool pass to Joe Linton squaring it to Wissa, just finish it cool in a cool fashion, being smooth with it, not panicking. I thought was superb. So yeah, all round great performance from everybody. Let me know who your man of the match was. I didn't get time. There was something I wanted to. Was there anything I wanted to add? There might have been actually. Let me see if let me go to Sofa Score on this one because looking at the lineups. Let me know who your man of the match was, guys. I'll be really keen to see. But Wissa got a goal and an assist, so he's high up there. I thought he had a fantastic game. You see him in terms of his heating map, mainly staying in the opposition box, but also picking up in the central areas where he can. Barnes obviously got a goal as well, kind of all over the pitch as well for the 90 minutes, working really, really hard. Gordon mainly on that left side. He got himself a goal as well from open play, which some of his detractors might be upset about. Joe Linton got himself an assist, had a phenomenal game himself, or really good game, should I say. I thought he was really, really good. Let me know who your man of the match is. I'll probably give it to Wissa. I'll probably give it to Wissa, but some really good performances from everybody, to be honest. Golden assist, I think, Wissa wins it. Just looking at Hall's stats as always, 81 touches, one key pass, 85% accurate passes, uh, 5 out of 9 duels won, 1 out of 2 aerial duels won. I thought he was really, really good as well. So let me know, guys, who your man of the match was. I'm going to give it to Wissa for a goal and assist. And yeah, that's what, onward to the next game. We're going to take it to our match preview of the Villa game. But before we do that, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. God bless all the folks that have joined us. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, if you're enjoying the show, do like and subscribe, folks. Yeah, War Captain Bruno says definitely took more risks and it worked. Absolutely, especially in the second half, we made a move that didn't get result in a goal. I don't know if you guys remember, down the flanks, one touch passing, and Wissa just missed it. He slid in, but he just missed it. I thought was phenomenal. Aaron says Wissa was very good yesterday in build-up, though I felt in some instances he made the wrong decisions in terms of making passes. He opted to hold the ball and pass back to defenders. Yeah. He's not a dribbler. He can do it when he needs to, but he prefers to pass and move, turn and pass. And I think he's another player, striker that players have got to get accustomed to where and how he wants the ball to get the best out of him. James says, there it was, a great win, but we should have had 4 from Voldemar. He was unlucky not to score that goal. The header, if you mean the header, I think so too. It would have done his confidence a world of good as well. Dave says way more intensity in the PSV game than how we've been playing. That's the Newcastle I want to see. Excuse me. Understand we can't do it 3 times a week with the same players, but it's how we win. So more players needed. Yeah, I agree with you for sure. Although Botman doesn't agree. I don't know if you saw his press conference and they asked him about transfers and would he want more new faces. He said, no, I don't think we need more faces. I like that. The squad is fine. I don't know if you guys heard that. I don't know what you thought of it, but Botman wasn't too keen on new faces. War Captain Bruno says, I'm no expert, so just from a novice perspective, it felt like we had much more opportunity to create. I agree. And we had that fight that's needed. Yeah, absolutely. I think we wanted to prove a point, especially after the Wolves game. I think we wanted to prove a point. Aaron gives man of the match to Super Lewis Hall. Can't argue, to be fair. War Captain Bruno says, good point. Talking to, I think, James. Aaron says, think I say every week now, he's just so good. He is superb. Adrian gives it to J7. Again, another one I can't argue with. I really enjoyed his game. War Captain Bruno's going for J7 as well for Joe Linton. James says, man of the match, Sandro Tonali. I thought he had a good game. This was probably his best form I've seen in a while. He should have never had that yellow card. I'm still questioning that one, and I hope we can see that against Villa. I think we too. He's good at kind of being consistent when he can be. War Captain Bruno says, I'd give everyone at least an 8 out of 10 too. Yeah, it's good to have a game where it's difficult to say who the man of the match was because everyone played so well. Aaron says we desperately need a signing, especially at left back. Yeah, I agree. For sure. Left back and or right back, but left back for sure. Okay, so that was another game done for Newcastle, who now we're doing the preview for the Villa game. Now, Villa are very interesting. Villa fan, let me know if you're still here. I know you said that you will be, but I'm really keen to get. I really enjoyed researching Villa today, and I'm going to wax a little bit lyrical about them. But before I get into the tactics and everything, let me just have, as always, have a butchers at Villa's form, how they're doing. Let's get ourselves essentially a general overview of Villa. So make sure you guys can see that. As always, I like to go on the old FOT mob on there because I do like to look at the XG table. And the XG table, we know that the Villa have been the murderers of the XG table. We're going to talk about that in a moment because it leads to a very interesting story to how Villa are developing. Before I get that there, let me just share this first on SofaScore because I want to emphasize something a little bit about Villa's form before I go back on the FOTMob. So I'm on SofaScore at the moment. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Let me get Aston Villa quick because they've been on a very good run. Today they played as well. I got to watch their match in glimpses, but I thought they acquitted themselves really well against Fenerbahce, to be honest, playing away like that. In the last, how many games is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the last 10 games, folks, this includes obviously all competitions and Europe and Premier League. They've won 7 of those games, lost 2, drawn 1. Of those losses, 1 came to Arsenal, and the other one was against Everton, which I think was I think it was a home game actually. So I think I watched some of that game as well. So that was a surprise loss, but they won today against Fenerbahce. And as they say, you're only as good as your previous game, which they're done well with. They have to also note they beat Villa during this run 2-1. They beat Man United 2-1 as well. So some really notable victories as well. So I say all that to say this: they are in very, very, very good form. We know this because if we look at the table for Villa, if we look at the let me get back on the screen here. I just wanted to make sure you guys can see this. FOTMob, yes, you're on FOTMob. So obviously, Villa are currently third with 43 points plus 8 goal difference. They've scored 33 goals and conceded 25. Excuse me. They've won 30 of the 22 games played. They've won 13, they've drawn 4, and they lost 5. So they're very, like I said, in very, very good form. And I think they also have also gained automatic promotion today by their victory in the Europa League. So they're playing well both in Europe and at home, which is positive to see from them. Obviously, they've been knocked out the League Cup, but they're still in the FA Cup as well. So they're doing very, very well, at least on 3 fronts. Now, we're currently, obviously, just to talk about just before we go on the point of XG, we're currently 8th. So to speak about Jeff, so first of all, victory for Villa. They're currently in the same points as Man City, and they're both 7 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal go away to play Man United, so that could be a banana skin for them. And should Villa win, that could put them 4 points behind Arsenal and closing that gap. Now, I know a lot of people are writing off Villa from doing anything in terms of the title chase itself, but as I always say, for me, anyone can win until they can't, essentially. And I think Villa are in a better place than everybody else apart from City and Arsenal. So they're 7 points ahead of Liverpool from the nearest rivals. So I'm not going to do them the service of just writing them off like that. So yeah, they've got a lot riding. They've got jeopardy. That's a lot riding on this game. They've got jeopardy in this game against us. So they're going to want to continue their good form. And we're rivals essentially because we're kind of matching each other's steps at the moment, aren't we? We both had the takeovers. We've both been in Europe twice now. And obviously the main difference for us is that we've got a cup. And I know Villa are in search for theirs. They've got really ambitious owners. For us, Newcastle United, we've currently in 8th place with 33 points, 10 points behind Villa, right? With 9 wins, 6 draws, and 7 losses. We've got 32 goals scored and 27 conceded with a +5 goal difference. And if you match our forms of recent, in their last, for Villa, their last 5 Premier League games, they have won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1. So quite mixed, shall we say. So again, they lost to Arsenal, which obviously happens, and they lost to Everton at home. That was a bit of a surprise, and they kind of rectified some of that form in today's victory against Fenerbahce, which I think they deserve to win. For us, though, in our last 5 games, we have won 3 games. We lost one that was against Manchester United, which again, that was fortunate for them, to be honest. And we won 3 and we drew 1 against Wolves, which again we should have done better at. But we are where we are. But we also had a good European campaign, beating PSV 3-0. Now, the interesting part that I'm going to go on to, which is the XG and the tail of the tapes. Now, in between, we know all about Villa's XG, and I want to say from the start, yes, this, and it makes for interesting reading. But there is a change in the story from what we've kind of discussed about Villa before. So this is the XG table, right? We're currently, we would be 5th on the XG table because we've obviously scored 33 goals, and that's in line with our XG in terms of chances, in terms of chances that we've created. So we're only underperforming by minus 0.6, so we're performing within our XG. But also in terms of XG conceded, teams have overperformed in their goals against us. We should have, if it was a good XG, conceded 24 goals instead of the 27 we've conceded. And we'll talk about, for instance, the Dorgu wonder goal, and Ramos's overhead kick, which he did whilst lying down and stuff like that. So those kind of really low XG goals, really low, not big chances at all, really low risk chances that managed to squeeze in, and we conceded. If it had gone our way, we would be on 36 points instead of 33. So we're just and the table being so close, we'll jump up 2 places, essentially, is what they're saying. Now Villa, according to the XG table, now they're rising a little bit, but they used to be in the relegation zone and still be 3rd. Villa are currently 3rd, obviously, but they're getting better, and I'm going to talk about why they're getting better in terms of their XG. They're currently 12th, though. And there's been a lot being made of that. So XG has them, for instance, XG has them on 27 points in the league. Obviously, they got 43. So XG has them overperforming by 16 points, right? They have, in terms of goals conceded, they believe that teams are underperforming against them, that according to how the defensive structure is set up, they should be conceding a lot more goals than they have been. Also, when you look at their goals, the goals that they scored, they've scored about, I can't remember, they've scored 30. How many goals did Villa score again? Was it 33 goals they scored? Let me remind myself. I think it was 33 goals, 34. Yeah, they scored 33 goals, whereas XG has got them on 27, and that they're overperforming by 5-6 goals. Now, let's talk about this XG in a moment. So, because it's going to be key for how I think Eddie Howe is going to approach this game. Now, the story went that, and I'm going to go to the chat in a moment. So the story had been, where is it? Oh, I forgot to add it. There was a thing I wanted to add. Let me see if I got it. There was something I wanted to add, but the story went that, in fact, let me share this instead. Let me see if I can get this on here. That the reason why Villa are essentially overperforming is because of their let me get here. Should I start with this one? No, I'll get to that in a moment. So the reason why Villa are overperforming is because essentially they're scoring a whole heap of wonder goals and shots outside the box. They're taking a lot more risks outside the box and scoring those goals, which is what's getting them over the line in games where they're creating limited chances. And for a period of time, this was true. But everybody knew, including Unai Emery, who said it in his press conference. And I want to credit Adam Cleary for this, for all those that watch Adam Cleary. I'm getting this off him and his very, very good coverage. This image is also from Adam Cleary's video, and I've got his ACFC logo there to make sure that you guys know that even Unai Emery was aware that, hey, this is unsustainable. We cannot be scoring, even though it's intentional. This is what I've asked my players to do. Even Morgan Rogers has said this, that he said, it's time for you guys to start, taking chances outside the box and doing that. It's not a sustainable way to continuously win games and get yourselves over the line. But what forced them to do that in the first place was because teams were doing really, really well in closing them down and also going into low blocks and stopping the Villa from scoring goals. And you guys will know the first 5-6 games, and I'm sure Villa fan would confirm this, that Villa scored absolutely no goals whatsoever. It started off with us. And hence why Villa then went on the journey of just scoring wonder goals, taking shots outside the box. And that's what propelled them up the league. But, and people have been waiting for them, including myself at some point, to drop off, because you cannot score wonder goals after wonder goals after wonder goals after wonder goals and think you're going to get away with this. Unai Emery said it. They were very well aware of it. Now, this image and this is what this image and this clip was taken from Adam Cleary on December the 5th. I want you guys to remember the date now. So this is about 6 weeks ago. And Adam Cleary made this point. So this is what I'm showing to you guys in terms of how Villa adjusted and what these wonder goals meant. Unai Emery didn't tell the players to stop taking shots outside the box. He emphasized for them to do it. But what it also allowed Villa to do was, as in this as you're going to see in this image, is that opposition teams now knew and were consciously aware that, hey, Villa take lots of shots outside the box. And what's more important is that they're very good at it. And what it's resulted in is in this. And what Adam Cleary described here is, this is Villa's game against Brighton. And you can see Van Heck here, and I don't know if it's Morgan Rogers that's on the board. I think it is. He's driving in. And the point that Adam Cleary made is, against any other team, Paul Van Heck would never step out like this. He would stay where he is, where you can see Watkins is just behind him. And essentially, because the opposition would typically pass it side to side and have no room to pass. But because it's Villa, and because of the reputation they develop from their wonder goals and striking outside the box, what's happened is they've been instructed, and players themselves are aware of, we need to shut them down before they shoot. And what that's caused is the likes of Van Heck and others to step out, like he's done here, and create this space in behind him, where after this image, instead of shooting, Morgan Rogers slides in Watkins. Now, no goal was made from this situation, but the point being is that these gaps were now forming from opposition teams because of because of how conscious everybody is of what Villa can do outside the box. And it enabled Villa to open up teams and to now be able to take shots inside the box and score goals. This was in December the 5th. So I went on to Opta Analyst and into AI. And what I wanted to know was, how many goals from that day, from December the 5th, right? From December the 5th, how many goals did Villa score from inside the box from that point on? So about 6 weeks on. And this is what I got. And I'll be really keen to hear what Villa fan thinks about this and what the story is here. So essentially, this is what's happened. Since that moment, December the 5th, Villa have scored 16 goals in all competition: Premier League, UEFA Europa League, and FA Cup. They scored 13 of those. They scored inside the box. Villa scored 13 of those 16 goals were inside the box. And they scored 3 goals outside the box. So they literally flipped around like this. So now that's why you partly see Villa lift up from the bottom of the XG table now into the mid-table positions, because more and more of those goals they're beginning to score. And those little micro situations that I showed you with Paul Van Heck and with Morgan Rogers bearing down on goal are the reasons why. So 16 goals they scored since that December the 5th, 13 of them inside the box, 3 outside the box. So Villa are no longer playing in an unsustainable way. They're getting inside the box and they're scoring goals. Against Arsenal, when they beat them 2-1, one inside the box, one outside the box. In the Europa League, against Basel, 2 inside the box. Against West Ham in the Premier League, 2 inside the box. Against Man United on December 21st, 2 inside the box. Chelsea, 2 inside the box, 1 outside the box. No, excuse me. One inside the box, 1 outside the box. Against Arsenal, when they lost 4-1, one was inside the box. Against Nottingham Forest, when they won 3-1, 2 inside the box, 1 outside the box. It was a draw against 0-0 draw against Palace. FA Cup versus Tottenham, 2 inside the box. Obviously, they lost to Everton. And even today, Sancho, header, really good goal actually, inside the box. So Villa are no longer just taking, as some might put it, trying their luck and scoring wonder goals. They have now been able to open up teams, whether they're in the low block, mid block, high press, whatever they're doing. These are all sorts of teams here that obviously I'm showing you guys. And they're now beginning to open up teams and they're scoring goals. And part of how they're doing that is because of that reputation they've got now. They've earned themselves of their ability to score from outside the box and kind of triggering team players, defenders to come out, leaving space in behind, which they have filled. Now, before we get into but there's also obviously other ways that they're also scoring, and we're going to get into a more deeper tactical breakdown of them as well. But I thought that was really, really interesting. So the narrative is again, it's more factual based now. It's not longer a narrative that how Villa are scoring, how Villa are playing, and the positions they're taking up is now becoming a lot more sustainable in terms of how they're playing. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about a Newcastle game in a moment. When they play us, they've got players missing and everything else, and so that's going to have an impact. But I just thought it was very, very important because I previously did a take on Villa, I think, as well, with Bobby Fairview, and obviously this was before that time, and it was scoring a lot of goals outside the box, and it was unsustainable. But that story has now shifted for sure. With in the last 6 weeks, the last 16 goals they scored, 13 of them were inside the box. This, wonder goal business. They've got, not only do they just score wonder goals, but they also score now, and they're not able to create inside their opponent's half as well. We're going to do a tactical breakdown, kind of in terms of their build-up play, how this our possession, what they are doing. And we're going to take out the board in a moment to kind of speak about it in more detail. So I'm keen to get you guys' views as always, because that's what makes the show, and get you guys' thoughts on this. War Captain Bruno says, agree to Nolly's illustrated. Oh, that was from before. James says, Kamara is out and John McGinn, 2 major players of them. Yeah, and that's going to be big. But are gone. I think they still have a couple of weeks out from what I've heard. James says, Man United is going to be knocked down a peg, hopefully by Arsenal. Aaron says, let me get that on screen. Aaron says, Morgan Rogers has been one of the main contributing factors to Villa overperforming in his XG. He always comes up with important goals for them. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I won't lie to you guys. I think he's one of my favorite players in the league, honestly. Really, really enjoy watching Morgan Rogers play. Hopefully, he has a poor game against us, but outside of that, I do enjoy him playing. I think he's really, really good. Dave says, if someone steps up, your other defenders should step across. Exactly. So you even see in this position, the best thing that I think is Dunk then was to move across. But I wonder if Dunk was even expecting for Heck to move out like that. You know, or this screen is frozen. Was this action particularly quick and fast, and maybe he didn't have time to do it? I don't know. But he should have moved across for sure. Yes, Morgan Rogers did play tonight, James. He did. Him and Mr. Watkins, they played tonight. All right, so I thought it was important to kind of share that with you guys. I think really, really highly of Villa in terms of how they play, and I'm sure Eddie Howe will do too, and will be well prepared for that. So let's get a little bit deeper in terms of how Villa play, what it is that makes them good, and before we break out the tactical board and kind of assess each other's strengths. Let me get my water. Okie dokie. And let's see how we match up. Right. So you're going to see it on Sky, on the box or whatnot. But what it is really, they're set up in a 4-4-2, especially out of possession, with a striker and an attacking midfielder. So a Watkins and Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, whoever the striker is going to be, it was Marlon before. But I know that he's been sold, and we know that, for instance, they're looking at Tammy Abraham or Mateta. If they get Mateta, it's going to be devastating, essentially. And they've, which is essentially how they set up. And from what I saw today, again, patches in the game, but especially when they're kind of attacking, that 4-4-2 turns into a 3-3-4 with rotation between different players, and it goes into a really compact 4-4-2 when they're out of possession and defending. And you're going to see that a little bit later on. So in terms of the build-up, and I wanted to credit the channel with this, a really good breakdown on Villa. Where's the channel? It should be on there, but my thingy-majig, my logo's blocking it. Half Space Theory. I want to big up Half Space Theory. If you guys enjoy tactical analysis, I really, really encourage you to check out Half Space Theory. Right, so this is their kind of build up. I'm going to keep a mind of this in our tactical breakdown as well, where the two centre backs essentially split. So Pau Terrace is nearest to us on the right here, what I think will be, on the left here with Konza on the right. I think both of them are fit. Let me know, Villa fan. And their goalkeeper, which obviously will be Emi Martinez, steps up. Oh, by the way, is Emi Martinez fit? That's going to be important as well. And what allows them is their fullbacks to push up like this. You can see Mats, I forgot his first name. Mats is here. And on the right here, I think is Dine. And what they like is they're two pivot players. In this case, I think it's, his name escapes me now. Onana, I think it's Tielemans, who drop in these half spaces into this central area here. And that's partly how they kind of play out. So if you're an opposition team, you've got a choice. You're already kind of, from the first phase of play, you got 2 versus 1. And in the second phase of play, you've got 4 versus 4, but it's very expansive. It's very spread out. So if the two pivots split, you risk the ball being played through the middle. If you go man for man, you risk getting played past. And obviously the goalkeeper adding into this creates a situation where it's even 3-on-1. and could even cause a five. That could also cause a 5-on-4 in the second phase of the pitch and allows them to carry it out. So that's partly the build-up play. But the other way they kind of build up or add to how they're going to build up is really, really interesting. Where you have typically, I think it's Morgan Rogers, but I'm sure McGinn and others drop in as well. You have um, Morgan Rogers dropping in and adding to the numbers into these half spaces here, or into the spaces in just behind the opposition press, and adding that 5-on-4. And he'll either do one of two things. He'll either pick up the ball and drive up into the opposition half, which is phenomenal. At it's very, very, very hard to stop Morgan Rogers when he's at full tilt. So it's going to be very interesting how we approach this. Yeah. Do we close him down, try to close him down in their final third, or do we let him go? Because the other thing that happens is, we're going to talk about this in a moment, when Morgan Rogers drops in like this, and you can see in the second screen here, when he goes into the space here, the fullback, in this case it's Maatsen, would then go into this, there's a space created here when Morgan Rogers drops in like this, and the opposition defenders follows him. And what happens is this space here is created, and it allows another form of attack. Once the ball goes out to Maatsen, he's got a space to drive into. And if you guys remember, the last time Newcastle were in Villa Park we got 0-0. The year prior, when we lost, I think 3-0, 4-0, there was that drive and run that Maatsen made. That's kind of exactly what they're going to be trying to do in this situation too. So there's a number of ways that Villa, with their build-up, are able to create opportunities to go out the opposition defense, whether it's starting off with their goalkeeper, creating that 3-versus-1 formation situation, or then that ripples into a 5-versus-4, or and kind of building the ball out that way. Which allows one of the 2-2 pivots to collect the ball and turn around and pass it to their forwards up front. Or you get a Morgan Rogers dropping in with the defender following him tight, creating space in behind him, creating space in behind him for the likes of Maatsen to drive in, or for Morgan Rogers to collect the ball himself, Morgan Rogers to turn around himself and drive at the opposition. So there's a number of ways how Villa will do that, and it'll be really, really interesting to see what approach Eddie Howe and Newcastle we take in terms of how we press. Do we kind of go man for man? I don't know about that. I'm cautious about that. Do we mix it up a little bit? How we did against PSV? I'll prefer that, because PSV did the same approach. The two centre backs would split, and we closed them down really, really well. We kind of matched them with a 4-4-2 that worked for us. So that could be something that we do. It's actually good practice for this game, actually. We can do that. I noticed that a Villa fan said that Emi will be fine, sadly. I'm going to say something about Emi in the moment, but let me know if you feel like he's performing badly. So they have a really good build-up play. In terms of their attack, in terms of what they do as well, their fullbacks play a key role. So sometimes they'll keep three at the back, and their fullbacks will be holding the width, and you see them making these runs in behind as well. But enemy backline, the opposition backline, it's not war. It's a footballing war, but it's not war like war. Opposition backline. Inside his spaces as well. And when you got the likes of Morgan Rogers and you've got the likes of Watkins, those kind of really dangerous players, they do attract forwards onto them and create space. And these are the type of spaces that allows the fullbacks to get into as well. So again, Newcastle are going to have to be very, very positionally disciplined in how we play. So this is the 4-4-2 out of possession that Villa have. Very compact, very, very disciplined. And it allows them to cover every part of the pitch, most parts of the pitch, wherever the opposition tries to get through. Whether it's on the flank, here you can see with what Brighton are trying to do, you'd have at least 3 Villa players in different phases of the pitch as well. attacking them, or being very, very compact where it's even difficult for, you can see the Villa players to try and squeeze in and behind here and collect the ball. So it's a very disciplined and very, very compact 4-4-2 that essentially kind of keeps the opponent in front of them, which makes it a lot more easier for them to mark. The other though, and this is taken from, again, this is taken from when was the date when they did this? When half space theory, big up half space theory again, because there is a stat. Obviously, we're showing you here that of Emmy's high percentage shot. Sorry, guys, half space percentage. Where is it? This is 1 month ago. So I'll be keen to see what a Villa fan thinks of Emmy. But this is as of 1 month ago, Emmy Martinez had the highest save percentage in the Premier League. You can see Nick Pope here in joint fourth with Dean Henderson, right? And you see him on 79.10%, at least 3 to 4% higher than the rest, which is pretty good, which is very good actually. So he's the other key component to why, and you saw the XG table there showing that teams should have scored a lot more goals, at least 6 more goals against Villa, but haven't. So teams are underperforming. Well, that's because you've got the likes of Emi Martinez really performing well and stopping from goals going in. So there's going to, our shot quality has been really up and down, and that's something that has to really improve if we're going to make a dent against Villa this Sunday. But like I said, I saw a Villa fan make a note that he isn't too pleased with Emi Martinez, so I'll be keen to kind of know what that's about. Let's see what you guys are thinking of this so far, what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. And guys, I'm going to go to tactical boards in a moment, but do let me know who you would have in your starting lineup. Do let me know who what score you predict. You can send them in early. It'll be really good to hear. James says so that likely takes them out of at least for the first half against us. I missed something. I feel like that likely takes them out of at least of the first half against us. Let me know I feel like I walked into the middle of a conversation there. Let me know what you mean by that, James. Aaron says, I saw Villa linked with Tammy Abraham. Yeah. Tammy Abraham, Mateta, not too far in their profiling. I think that would be a good signing for them. Can see Emery getting the best out of him. Yeah, I agree. I think Emery's a very good coach, really good at getting the best out of his players. James says, my midfield for Sunday would be J7, Ramsey, and Sandro. And I think that could be a possibility. I'm going to discuss that in a moment. Yeah, Villa fans said Emery will be fine. So let me know why, because he's, as of last month, or a month ago, he had the highest save percentage in the league. So be keen to get your thoughts on him. Dave says, Minte caught in no man's land there. He should be on Matson. He should be. Yeah. Oh, you mean in the, where is he? He's gone central, hasn't he? I wonder, because it's always difficult to see how the game has panned out. Has he tried to go on the flanks and had no joy, and maybe being instructed to try and cause the overloads? Because we know that Brighton tried to form box midfields through the middle as well, but maybe it's proven difficult, and no joy that's coming out of there. James says Tielemans out Sunday for ticking off Emery. If that'll be the case, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with that. All right. So, like I said, folks, send in your when I asked you about Morgan and Rogers, about Morgan and Watkins. So that like takes them out of at least for the first half against us. What, like in terms of them playing, or like you think they're going to be tired or something? Let me know. All right. So, like I said, folks, send in your lineup, send in who you think, what you think your score predictions will be. Let's get into the tactical breakdown. Let's see what all of this could mean uh, for the game itself, um, and how it could pan out. Let me play. Let me put my. I am actually in two minds. It's so difficult to predict what our starting lineup will be because, well, I'll show you in a moment. I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing, to be honest. Um, all right. So, oh, good thing I checked. Okay, brilliant. So you guys can see that. Now, I and Villa fan, do let me know who you think plays as well. I've kind of taken a guess, so do let me know who you think plays. Um, but for us, I've got Bruno out. Uh, I think he's going to get rested. Swollen ankle takes a little while, and if they can help it, they don't need to rush him back. And he's been playing most games already, which he should do, but this could be an opportunity to rest him. So I've got Miley here instead. But what I'm conscious of is Trippier. He's played 2 games in a row now at 35 years old. Can he do 3 games in the week? That would be my only question. And that's partly why I think Miley goes up right back with, I think you guys called it, maybe Jacob Ramsey playing on that right hand side. It could be Willock. Willock could be just as likely to play as Ramsey. But it could be Ramsey, to be honest. I'm going to stick with Ramsey because I feel like I've talked myself into it. But let me know what you guys thoughts are on that. But otherwise, I think we keep the same front three. Um, Gordon was taken off early. Whistle was taken off at his usual time. Barnes obviously played the full 90 minutes, and he did a game against Wolves. There is a possibility that Elanga starts instead of Barnes. There is that possibility that Elanga starts. Let me know what you guys think. There is that possibility. And I've kept the same back line. I think Hall will get rotated at some point fairly soon. Burn is back. I know. I thought Burn would never come back at left back again, but that there is a possibility that happens. So there's a thing there. All right. So let me know what you guys think of that. Really keen to get your thoughts on this as well. Let's start off with, and send in your predictions, send in your lineups. I'll be keen to hear. Okay, so we've got Villa in their 4-4-2 shape. And yeah, because I changed the front line, it's got back to Trippier. But I wanted to first start off with Villa's build up that we talked about earlier and what they like to do. So let's give them the ball here. With their goalkeeper, I've got Bizot here, but you said Emi Martinez will play. I think Villa fans said Emi Martinez will play. So every now and again, he's going to come back now because obviously I've changed the teams. But Emi Martinez will play. You'll see him coming up like this. He's decent on the ball, and you're going to see these two pivots together. Of Tielemans and Bogard, I've got playing because I think McGinn on. Would Onana play instead of Bogard? Maybe Onana plays. Maybe Tielemans and Onana play. Now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm here, all of this is coming to me now. Maybe Onana and Tielemans are playing, to be honest. Onana, physical player, really powerful runner. That changes things a little bit for me as well. So Onana and Tielemans, probably Tielemans on this side as well, forming up that pivot. And as mentioned previously, and it's gonna change the players again in a moment, but you're gonna see them in this split defense, playing out from out the back, and kind of splitting the defense, pushing their fullbacks high, um, and you're going to get these situations in the build up here where you're going to get, for instance, if we press it with the front. It's going to be interesting how Eddie Howe does it. Does he press with the front three like this, with Wissa meeting out to Bizza? So Joe Linton and Miley were against Bogard. It's not going to be Bogard, it's going to be Onana. I'm going to have to keep on changing this um, for now, but that's okay. We'll live with it. We'll live with it. But I want to make sure we get the matchups correct, because what I think will be Tielemans. Okay, I think Joe Linton will be on Onana, but we'll see how it goes. Where's Onana? I had him. I had Onana somewhere. Where is he hiding? Where is Onana hiding? Elliot Garcia, Martinez, James Wright. I can't find him. That's annoying. All right, let me bring Bogarden back in. But yeah, I'll be keen to see how that works. Oh, there he is. He's right on the screen. So it'll be Onana, for instance, and Joe Linton, Miley and Tielemans, as well. You're going to get their fullbacks pushing up like this. And as mentioned, so it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Howe squares it up. You're going to think, well, I've got Tonali in here. He'll be screening the back line. I'll be interested to see how we do it. Because there's the option when they're screening the back line, because of the pace of Watkins, even though Botman is big, strong, Watkins has been an absolute terror for us in the past. He's good at dragging the midfielders out into the flanks, which causes them all sorts of pain. Like as well, when he does this stuff, it's horrendous to see. And I just wonder if in these type of situations, you have Tonali screening the back line like this, and really kind of the main person in charge of kind of at least matching stride for stride Watkins, and giving at least Chow, at least Botman, less thing to worry about. Still kind of joining in, being important for the aerial duels for sure. But it's kind of giving Botman at least one less thing to worry about, having to run into the channels. Now, Chow's not going to mind running into the channels, but Chow's going to have I think it's going to be a big task of also focusing on Rodgers. And I think I do really, I trust Chow a lot, especially in one-on-one situations. I just think having Tonali here, it kind of alleviates some of the concerns I have about both Watkins and Rodgers' pace, power, dribbling, especially for Rodgers as well. Tonali really, him kind of screening and supporting as he did against PSV, alleviate some of that. So I think it could work that way. Or even when, for instance, as we're going to see a little bit later, when Rodgers drops in like this, Charles got a little bit more freedom to go in, whereas Tonali can come in and wait and kind of cover the run made by either by Buendia and Maatsen. So you're going to have Trippier and Maatsen like this. So that's a bit more secure as well. So Chow's a little bit more free to really, really press it on Rodgers in these type of situations. So I think this sort of setup, I think, supports in what we're trying to do. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that half space is going to be important. So Rodgers drops in like this. For instance, Chow comes in. Maybe Tonali this time follows Watkins, and it splits everybody apart. So, but if you keep Botman where he's at, have Tonali going across, maybe with Trippier following Maatsen, you're a little bit more secure in that way and stopping these type of situations from happening. Obviously, Maatsen's quick himself, but it's less of a worry. Tonali versus Buendia, or even better, you have Charles staying where he is and Tonali following the run of Rodgers. So that way, so in that case, when the space is created, you still have maybe Chow with Buendia, which is fine for me, and Trippier with Matson. No worries or a concern again for me in that arena as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they would build up from the back. It's not to say that they can't. What I anticipate is that when Emi Martinez, in this case, will play, I think he'll be far more. I think Martinez will be far more active. I think he'll force the play even more. So I think he will push up even more. I'll be curious to see what Wissa's instructions are. If it is even Wissa, it'll probably be Gordon, because Gordon is the one that's really, really good at closing down the keeper. So you probably have Wissa on this side of Gordon closing down in these central areas. The key point, and I don't know if you guys remember from that PSV game, there was one occasion in that PSV game where they were able to play through our press. In fact, there wasn't a press. I don't think Gordon was on the pitch. I think he was substituted, and they literally went from their penalty box into our half on the edge of our penalty box. And I wanted to point out this is what happens when you don't have the likes of Gordon in his press at the front. So I think this press here from Gordon is going to be so vital, because if this doesn't happen, if Martinez is able to play is able to start playing the ball through fairly easily to your, let me take it off here, to your, it's not going to be Bogart, it's going to be Onana. I'm going to be patient and I'm going to just take him off, and every time I have to, it's okay. Onana or Tielemans, where is it? Here we go. It's going to be Onana. And he had a bit of a break today, I think, or Tielemans, and they're going to have the opportunity to, if they get this opportunity to turn around, for instance, and you're going to have Watkins and obviously, in this case, it might be Rodgers probably running at people. That's what causes the absolute problems for people as well. So it's going to be it's going to be a really, really big battle in this situation. So this press, I think Gordon's going to be absolutely key in preventing Martinez from hitting it central and forcing him to go out wide, either to Konza or to Torres. I know Torres is their main guy in terms of the build-up here, in which case it's going to be Barnes or Elanga. I think this is maybe another reason why Elanga plays naturally a right winger, and he had a decent cameo. And I think the instruction is just going to be run, go at Torres, stop him from maybe getting it out to Matson in these type of situations as well. So you're going to see him do these kind of circular runs, maybe, or it depends. Maybe they want to force it onto Matson and have Chow and Trippier cleaning it up. I'll be curious to see. Maybe we want to prevent him from hitting it central to the likes of Tielemans, because Tielemans he's got the ability to turn around and hit these balls on the side on these arrows here. So I think that's going to be big. Miley's going to have a big job here in terms of Tielemans and closing down Tielemans. So Elanga or Barnes, I think Elanga with his pace and tenacity and energy, really, he's got the energy to do it, will be very, very key in this situation. In either case, maybe if they choose to go out to Konza as well, forcing out to Konza, whatever we do, we have to stop them from being able to play it centrally. That's going to be absolutely key, in my opinion. I think the more we see Rodgers having to drop in to these areas here, the better, because they've got one less person obviously up there. Maybe someone comes up there. Probably Buendia goes up to, when Rodgers drops like that, you're going to see Buendia dropping like that. But I prefer Buendia to Rodgers, in my opinion, than Rodgers being up there. So probably collecting the ball and trying to drive up with it, that's going to be key. If Rodgers is able to, let's see what his energy levels are going to be like. If Rodgers is able to turn and run at our defense, is going to be dangerous. So that's another thing for us to look out for. So let me know what you guys think so far. I'll just go to the chat as well before I carry on. already. Thank you guys for sending in your teams as well. Send in your teams and predictions, guys. Appreciate you. Aaron says he's got Pope, Miley, yeah, Chow, Botman, Hall, Sandra Willock. Okay, you got Willock, Ramsey, or Willock and Ramsey. So Sandra Willock, Ramsey. So Sandra Willock, Ramsey, and Miley. Oh, so Miley at right back then. Okay, instead of Trippier, makes sense. Yeah, Gordon, Voldemort instead of Wissa. Has Wissa played 2 games in a row now? No, 1. I think Wissa will play this one, but okay, yeah, Voldemort, Elanga. You made about 5-6 changes. Fair play to you. James says, for me, the defense state is the same with Miley. As I said before, my midfield, J7, Sandra, and Ramsey are happily go with the same attackers as yesterday. Should have plenty of time to rest of them as well. We should do. Yeah, we should do. I just wonder if Howe is he's got some options. He's got a little bit of options. Aris Voldemort definitely plays this game, in my opinion, because Wissa started the last game and played most of the game. He typically gets taken off at 70 minutes, Wissa, and he usually is able to play 2 games. But you've called it before, you got it right before, to be honest, Aaron, on these. So it'd be interesting to see. We will play differently with Voldemort as well. Aaron says J7 needs a rest as well. To be honest, he's played every game since he's back from injury, and we have PSG 3 days afterwards. Yeah, I agree, but I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he uses J7 for sure. David's got Ramsdale, hope not. Hall, Botman, Chow, Miley, at right back, Tonali, Ramsey, J7, Elanga, Barnes, and Voldemort. Yeah, you guys are making a lot of changes for sure. No Ramsdale for James. No Ramsdale. Still last Pope. He's kicking is useless. I still rather have a shot stopper. He didn't have much duty to do yesterday, so should still be fit. Yeah, I think Pope plays. Suggesting I think we'll play. Thanks for that. No, I appreciate you. Thank you for that, Dave. Dave says Ramsdale is a shocker feat, okay, but his actual defense management and cross stopping is rubbish. I think Pope stays. Yeah, I think Pope stays, to be honest with you guys. So a lot of you guys have got change into that midfield. It's a big game. It's a massive game. I can imagine players getting rested for that PSG game, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll be very curious to see what happens. Is there anything else I want to shoot? Yes. So I think a lot more what our press will be is even a bit more aggressive with Chow and Botman. So not our press, excuse me, us in possession. So I wanted to talk about us in possession, especially when we've got the ball like this and Villa are in that 4-4-2 formation, being really rigid and kind of compact like this. How we move the ball around is going to be, excuse me, vital. I've got Bruno again here. It's not going to be Bruno. Probably Ramsey. I've got Ramsey here. We've been guilty of, part of the reason why we haven't broken down defenses is we've been guilty of not moving the ball around quick enough. And that's been our undoing. We have to move the ball a lot quicker. I think at home we do that because the crowd really kind of emphasizes it to the players. You need to move the ball quicker, and we do that. So it's going to be key in those type of areas. I wonder how we do out in the flanks. Barnes, if it's not Elanga, Barnes, been decent and kind of going out wide and being here, but he is limited. I think he does get. I can see Elanga starting, to be honest, in these situations, just because in one-on-ones with Digne, for instance, I think he'll be better at kind of taking Digne to the byline. We noticed, if you guys remember from our match reaction to the Wolves game, Barnes is good at getting the ball here, but Barnes doesn't really drive into the box. He tries to take it one time, because he's not that good at dribbling, or at least knocking the ball past the defender. I think what Elanga would endeavor to do is use, at least, either with his left or right, is try to shift Dinya and drive into this penalty box and cause a situation where either you make a tackle or you let him cut back, um, and we start creating better chances from these type of situations. So I do think Elanga plays, in my opinion. And I do think that Ramsey and Miley would be able to feed Elanga in terms of trying to get the ball out to him. Where is it? Vector space. So this flank will be key if it isn't Trippier that plays, and it's Miley instead. That will be my thoughts on there. So kind of, but Ramsey on the right will be different. He typically likes to play on the left. So does he play there, or does he keep Trippier? But does Trippier need rest? There's a lot to think about there as well. I like Miley in these situations. Obviously, he's a midfielder by trade anyway. So even if he's playing from right back, he's able to create from these type of positions. He's not afraid to. He kind of knows really well when to get the ball out to Elanga or to Wissa. I'll be keen to see how this kind of works out with Tielemans and Buendia. How much energy are they going to have after their exertions against Fenerbahce? Will be, we've got 1 day rest on them. Can we move the ball quick? On the other side, if it's Sancho and Cash, Sancho great on the ball, but he lacks that burst of pace. I wonder if I wonder how I fancy both Hall and Gordon and being able to play through him, and Joe Linton being there to support. Obviously, kind of battling it out with Onana. That's going to be a massive battle as well. If Joe Linton plays, which I think he does. I think he does play. I would play him. Cash, a lot of people don't like Cash from what I hear in the content world anyway, but I respect him as a right back, especially going forward. It's going to be interesting, this battle here with Gordon and Cash. Gordon's been a lot more better in terms of kind of taking players one-on-one, getting people on the byline. I think that's going to be interesting. But what's going to be very difficult, what might be the undoing for Villa, is how good is Sancho going to be in these tracking backs? If Gordon's taking Cash out wide, and who we know is really good at these underlaps, if Joe Linton's clever enough, which I think he has been a lot more, playing centrally, forcing Onana to follow him out wide, and then allowing Hall to drive into these spaces here, it could cause all sorts of stuff. Maybe Konza has to come out of position. Then you get Wissa getting space in these type of situations, and we can get round behind them as well. And that all starts off with Sancho. So I'll be really keen to see if Sancho plays. I think he might do, and what kind of problems that might cause for them. So we have opportunities both on the right and the left against Villa in these type of situations. And I think to protect us in the transitions, Tonali, Botman, and Chow against Watkins and Rodgers, I think we can, if they put out the same performance against PSV, I think we can even have the bigger possession and cause a lot more problems to Villa as well from us being in possession. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. I'm keen to get your guys' thoughts. Please send in your predictions for the game. I'm keen to hear what you guys think. I'm still thinking about Ramsey on the right-hand side. He can play there as well, but it'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. So before I give my prediction, guys, send in your predictions. Let me know what you think. Please do continue to like and share and subscribe. And if you've enjoyed the show, if you're first time on the channel, you're enjoying it, please do like, share, and subscribe. All right. So Villa fan says, I don't think this game is as massive. Wow, Villa, you're proper down. You're proper down. It's massive for me anyway, but I get it. um, um, uh, Dave's what, my thing's poor. My Dave says Gordon needs to take on players down the left more. I agree. Far too many times he's stood still and not making the runs in behind. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my reaction to the Wolves game. He needs to do that a lot more, especially if it's him one on one with Cash, or Jadon Sancho isn't going to be the greatest at tracking back. Not because he hasn't got the work rate, but he hasn't got the pace or the kind of the level of athleticism that's needed down that side. And I think Gordon and Hall teaming up on that side could be really important. Onana's going to be key for Villa in stopping that. But we can, if Onana is constantly having to cover for Jaden, we can start really kind of creating space for ourselves in this area. If Onana is going to have to constantly come across to put out this fire, right? Let me show you here. If Onana constantly has to come across to put out this fire, where we've got Joe Linton here, where Hall is doing these underlapping runs because Sancho's not able to follow through. What then happens is these spaces then start getting created in these situations. That's going to be deadly. Maybe Joe Linton gets in there, and then Wiss is able to make runs. Hopefully somebody else makes a run. They're going to have to have a Miley or Ramsey and start getting into these positions. It could be very, very deadly for Villa. So, but a lot of that, like you said, is down to Hall, and especially on that left side is Hall. And Hall, I'm not worried about doing that underlapping, right? He'll do it. It's Gordon taking on his man in this situation, which for me he's been better at. Send in your predictions. Good to see folks sending in their predictions. Dave says was having a meltdown with him staying still against PSV until he scored. But even then, I wasn't him doing his job. It was more luck than judgment. Who's that? Gordon. I thought Gordon had a good game. I don't think that was luck. I think that was planned. That was by design to me. If you're talking about Gordon. Oh, Aaron's confident. I think in a 2-0 win. I like that. I love the confidence there. Adrian says 3-1. I love the confidence here as well. Aaron says Ramsey and Voldemort to score. You got Voldemort playing as well, isn't it? It's too bad I didn't really get a chance to talk about how different it would be if Wissa doesn't start, excuse me, and it's Voldemort. That could be interesting, actually. I need Voldemort to use his physical presence a lot more, and he has that ability to draw defenders to him and create a lot more space in these type of situations. Why have I got this on? Let me take this off. Against Konza and the rest, that'll be really interesting to see. But yeah, you could be right. You could be right. James says, I don't predict anymore, but I'm interested in your views. Why don't you predict? It's not going to. Let me know why you don't predict. I'll be curious to know. Dave says 2-2, but I hope it's a 3-2 win. Yeah, kind of maybe your mind says 2-2, but your heart says no. Maybe your mind says 2-2, but your heart is saying, come on, 3-2, 3-2. I thought we'd beat PSV 3-2. I was right about how many goals we'd score. I didn't anticipate us keeping a clean sheet, and that could be because obviously they like Villa had a number of their personnel out. I don't know if Villa fan is still here. It'd be good to get his prediction. And if Sancho plays on that right hand side, Tielemans and Onana still make a good pivot, in my opinion. So that midfield battle is going to be very, very key. It's going to be supremely, supremely key. The more we can force Rodgers back into dropping in, the better it would be. And if we can do something about that in terms of stopping him there, or at least matching his runs, and at least stopping him from getting too, if he turns around and drives, that also be key. And if we can match the third the runs that you would see maybe Digne on that left hand side and Buendia making, which I think we can do. And if we're on top of that, we can really stop that and really press Villa back. That'd be really good. But Villa had a really good game against Fenerbahce today. We've got 1 day more rest on them. They had to travel to Turkey. They're going to come back either later today or tomorrow. That's going to have an impact on them. Then they have to travel up to us to play as well. I'm hoping, that would have some sort of effect on them as well. We're at home, but they had a really good game against Fenerbahce. I had a good game against Fenerbahce. Good transitional play. They scored a good goal again inside the box, so we cannot underestimate them at all. I'm hoping that I think that PSV game has given us a lot of confidence, and PSV aren't too dissimilar. They're different, but they want to they their build up isn't too dissimilar, though the personnel obviously are very very different. It'll be interesting to see how it starts off with. All right, so let me just say what my prediction is going to be. I mean, Martinez will play. Big game, big game. I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go for 2-1 Newcastle win. 2-1 win. I'm gonna give. Who's gonna be my goal scorers? I'm gonna go for Joe Linton and Wissa as my goal scorers for this game. So 2-1 victory, Joe Linton and Wissa as my goal scorers. And we've got in the chat, James said the last time I predicted we lost, only the thing I predict now is winter sports because it's only generally like it's not generally like what happens these people can do. Fair play to you, James. James says, I forget, I think it's an evening match as well. At least it's not a 12 o'clock match. True. Yeah, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff, though. Yeah, hopefully it plays into our hands. We'll see. All right, folks. Fantastic, fantastic show. We did the match reaction to that PSV game where, the team pretty much put out 7 out of 8, 8 out of 8, 9 out of 10 performances from some of the players. Are generally a fantastic performance. 3-0 clean sheet. We're definitely into the playoffs. Can we get it into the automatic places against PSG? That's going to be a show for another night. But I think we can take a lot of confidence into that game, into the next game against Villa. That's going to be. I know for some people, Villa fans, for him, it's not that big a game, but I think for us, it's massive. It should we win that game, we really, 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 really put ourselves in. We really put ourselves into that. We're already in it, but we put ourselves in the midst of that top 4, top 5 clash. Again, building on the confidence from our victory against PSV. And we did the preview for the Villa game. Villa have, grown as evolved as a team. They're not just scoring wonder goals. They scored 13 goals inside the box, including today against Fenerbahce or yesterday against Fenerbahce. So we have to be defensively sound and resolute against them. But I think we can be. I really, really think we can be. I said 2-1, but hey, if it's 2-0, if we keep a clean sheet, whatever it is, that'd be absolutely phenomenal. But you guys have been absolutely phenomenal yourselves. You've been liking, sharing, subscribing. Some of you stuck with me for the whole 2 minutes, for the whole 2 hours. Your comments, your team predictions, your goal prediction, score predictions are absolutely phenomenal. So Make sure, as always, folks, you have a great evening, day, morning, whatever you're doing. And as always, folks, good night and God bless you all, folks. Take care.
Oh, brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Shea.